Okay, so I'm going to do my best to explain this the best way that I can from my heart. I just reflected on God's presence in my life and the refinement that God has done in me that could have only come through walking with God and surrendering to God's will for my life and how God saw me. When you get a glimpse of how God sees you, when you allow God to take your heart and allow it to be purified, healed, expanded, loved, protected, supported, that only comes through what God wants to do in you. That only comes through going through the fire and being purified and breaking fallow ground off of you that you can't even do in your own strength. I'm sitting here because I'm so grateful. I was thinking about the journey, and my daughter was like, Mom, I was like, what when you think of my journey, what comes to mind? And she was like, long. She said, Mom, it was long. And I thought and I sat with it. And I thought in the beginning of the journey, when God spoke to me, because I wanted God to do something on the inside of me, because I knew that the ways in which I was showing up, I couldn't show up that way anymore. So God began doing the work in me, and that work was hard. There were things that I had to let go, and that was hard to trust Him. But I'm so grateful because who I am today only came through the power and the oil of God, only came through the pressing, only came through the fire, only came through the pruning and the purging and the process. It only came through that. And so even though I had goals on my list of what I thought it should have been and by a certain time, it's like, and all of those goals are great. I'm not taking away those goals. I'm not taking away that. But when I think about what God has done on the inside of me, there is no way that I would become and be who I am today if I had not taken the journey with God. Because it was God here's the thing. When God speaks a thing over you, and when He speaks a thing to you, when He promises a thing to you, it can and it will come to pass. When you surrender your life to God, when you fully surrender and you go through the process, and God allows you to go through the process, and in the process, it is where God does the rebuilding. God does the restoring. Yes, and it is along with your free will. I should have got tissue. It is definitely along with your free will. Yes, you got to do the work. Yes, you got to do that work. You got to put it into practice. Absolutely. So I'm not taking that away. No, we ain't just sitting in God's presence and then just not doing nothing. We're listening to the instructions while we're in the presence of God, right? But yeah, that journey was long. But I'm so grateful in my heart of what has been produced, the oil that has been produced in me, that only comes through walking with God. And so there is a oil that God wants to produce in you, right? that can only be produced in you and through you with God. But the key is that many of us don't want to do, and there are some that do. And that is, you have to follow the instructions of God. Because in that, looking back, I'm so thankful. There's no amount of goals that can give me what I am feeling right now, what has been deposited in me. No amount of goals, no amount of accomplishments. And I've accomplished a lot of things through this journey, and I'm very thankful and grateful for it. But what God has produced in me today only came because of obedience, surrender, and trusting the voice of God. Yes, I had support. Yes, I had people who loved me. Yes, I used journaling and ChatGPT. Okay. I know that turbulence can be tough, but God is with you. I'm here to share with you. Don't give up.